Right, morning guys. So welcome back to NZ Motor Outlet Customs. Just going to run this past a few people. This is going to be a little bit of a help video. I'm actually in the middle of trying to make one of these little things, but this has got nothing to do with this video. Just trying to make it out of something. It's for the lights, the studio maker to hold this in. But anyway, some of you will know that I've got a, I think a 2008 Ford Mondeo Mark IV turbo diesel station wagon estate, whatever you want to call it. And some of you will probably know that we've had some power steering issues over the last while. So just to run back through the story. So we come back here early-ish 2020, just before COVID, or just as COVID was starting to ball its reary head, because we were meant to be going to the States. Come back here, and Dad's had this Mondeo diesel since brand new, since 2008, was a work vehicle. So it's done a few miles now. It was just under 300,000 Ks, I think, when we got it. I think. Yeah, about that. So we drove it around for quite a while, up until probably, when? What month are we now? 10th month? So yeah, it would have been about just after Christmas, I think, was when it started playing up. And what would happen was, if you were turning left, the steering would go and then break free. It would do that. Wouldn't do it all the time, but it would do that. Like if you've been driving along for a while and hadn't been doing much steering, just gentle. If you went to do like a turn into another street, like a hard turn or something like that, or come up to a stop and then turn, it would be like you have to almost break it free. So they're an enclosed steering rack, aren't serviceable basically. You can't get into the valving or anything like that. All the lines, all the hard lines on them are all part of the body, like they just don't come out. So I'd done some research and found out that whatever the valving is in them, they obviously after a certain age or whatever, the valves must play up and stick and disintegrate and whatever, and then they start doing shit like this. Either lock one way or the other way, or they'll lock both ways. So anyway, so I was like, right, so that's obviously the problem. It was getting worse, so I ordered another rack, a second-hand one, with about 100,000 Ks, because a brand new one here in New Zealand is only available through Ford, I think, can't remember. I think it was only available through Ford. It was $1,000, whereas a second-hand one with about 100,000 Ks on it, or a bit more, give or take, you know what I mean? Like, obviously it depends on the vehicle you can get it out of, I guess. No, but one with about 100,000 Ks or a bit more on it was, I think it was $150, $160 plus freight to get it here. So, that sort of money. So got that off a reputable second-hand parts place that Dad and I had actually been dealing with for a long, long time. Actually, Dad used to be part of the same chain, I guess you'd call it. It was more of a, wasn't so much a chain, but it was a group that eventually a lot of parts places here in New Zealand went under the same sort of banner. They called themselves Parts World. Like a lot of guys come in the group and they changed their names, like from what they were sort of like, if say affordable parts, they put Parts World affordable parts, or Dad's business used to be called Invercargill Auto Wreckers, and it became Invercargill Parts World. you know, and stuff like that, years and years and years ago. Like, I'm talking way back in the 90s. So it was guys that we'd always dealt with and whatever, and we knew they were sort of Ford guys. They specialise in a lot of the later model Ford stuff. So got a rack off them, put it in. It was fine for about 4 months. The pump in it had always been a little bit whiny. You know what I mean? Not real whiny, but just had always had this weird sort of hum. Dad said it had been like that since about 100,000 Ks, so just was one of those things. He tried all sorts of things to fix it without replacing it, because again, the pump's about $1,000 new, and it only become his outright when I'd done about 200,000 Ks, because it was the business he worked for, which was the museum, and when he retired, he gave it to him. I said, oh, you know, it's sure, so you can have it. So he'd done about another 100,000 Ks on it by the time I'd got it. But anyway, so yeah, it was fine for about 4 months after we changed the rack, and it seemed to get noisier and noisier and noisier. So it was like, well, obviously the pump's gone. You know, probably maybe the valving and the rack was enough pressure to, you know, put extra pressure on the pump, and now it's failing. So, right, we'll get another pump for it. Same place, got a pump from them. Put it in. It was a real bitch to bleed. Took a bit to get bleed right, but Dad, no, I did that one because Dad was away. But pumping it, he had a few issues to getting it to bleed, but got it to bleed in the end. You know, like I had it jacked up in the air and turned it from lock to lock for about 40 minutes, and then it finally come right. Well, it was reasonable, you know what I mean? So it's like, oh, we'll persevere with it. Drive it around for a couple of weeks. If it gives us any more issues, I'll get another couple of bottles of fluid put through it, and I did that in the end. But at that same time, I'd read, because we're just trying to work out why this thing was just wasn't right. It just wouldn't come back to what you would expect and what it used to be. You know what I mean? So I did some research and found out that the reservoir has a little filter in the system, down obviously on the feed side for the pump. There's a filter in there. So unbeknownst to me, but anyway, the filter comes out. But so I could probably but I don't think they actually sold the filter by itself. You had to buy the reservoir, which was $150, brand new. You know, you wouldn't, something like that, you wouldn't muck around. So got this thing, it's only suck a silly little gauze filter, a bit like you would find a spray gun. So I was like, oh, whatever. So I put it in, flushed the system out with a whole bottle of fluid, run it through, pumped it, left to right, whatever. Put that whole bottle through it. You know, basically what I did is I put the old filter on the return, and then put a hose on the feed on that, down into a bucket. Put the new filter on the feed, blocked off the return line so it wouldn't drain out, filled that full of fluid, mocked a lot, pumped it through, topped it up again, pumped it through until it used a whole litre or a quart or whatever you would call it. I bought 2 bottles of fluid, right, put it back together properly, top it up, lock the lock. It was pretty good. It was reasonable. It was like, oh, it still wasn't 100% what I thought it should have been, but it was pretty good. I was like, oh, we'll drive it around for a while, see if it comes right. Maybe I just need a bit of working with some clean fluid, and it might come right, you know, a bit of driving. So I drove it around for probably about 3 or 4 weeks, and it got hard again. I was like, far out. So I smelled the fluid, thinking, oh, I thought I'll check the fluid, and maybe it's lost some fluid or whatever. And the fluid smelled burnt. I was like, that's fucking weird. Oh well, so got another bottle of fluid, or a couple of bottles of fluid, jacked it up again, and this time, all the earlier ones we'd been using Penrite brand, which is a pretty reputable brand here. It's made in Australia, and it still was the right fluid for the Ford, supposedly. It's like that greeny clear fluid. So they'd done that, so I thought, right, screw it. I'll go to Ford, find out what their fluid is. It was about the same price as the other stuff anyway, $50 a fucking bottle. So I bought another 2. Right, we'll flush it out again, try it again, whatever. Still no better. So it's like, right, so we done some more research and we thought, well, surely these parts that we got can't be bad. Who knows? You know, maybe there's something else wrong in the system. It's like, well, the only other thing can be because there's no electricals attached to the power steering. Basically, pump driven off the accessory belt to the power steering rack. You know, it's all mechanical hydraulic. The only other thing it could be is maybe the high pressure line is collapsing. You know, under pressure, you know, it's collapsing and it's restricting the line. So, done some research, couldn't get a new one, none in the country. If we had got one, it was $500 fucking from the UK. So we did some research. Dad managed to get hold of somebody and got a power steering line off somebody else that just recently wrecked one with lower miles on it that had been, I don't know, smacked in the arse end or the side or whatever had happened to it. Just like a normal, just whatever diesel Mondeo it was. So yeah, got a hose off that, put it on it, bled it, whatever, more fluid. Still no fucking better. And we're like, what the fuck is going on with this thing? And I thought, well, talk to a heap of people, talk to the guys that originally got the rack and the pump off. And I said, well, maybe that original rack's gone bad. You know, maybe the valves are fucking playing up in that too and it's sticking and fighting you. So right, send us another rack. So I eventually got that early yesterday morning it turned up. I went to go out the back door. Mrs. went to go out the back door at home where the little conservatory is and it was here, it was sitting by the steps. Oh sweet, thank fuck it's turned up. You know, it's been a week. For some reason it just took fucking forever to get here. So, and it's unusual that it was dropped off first thing in the morning, not normally the couriers would drop off in the middle of the day. But anyway, so it must have come on some other freight system, you know, and got here weirdly through a truck freight company or something like that. Anyway, dropped that round to Dad yesterday, and he ended up having the phone line people there digging up his driveway, so we did it last night after supper, tea, dinner, what do you want to call it. Put it in, you know, swapped it all over, jacked it up, whatever. Topped it all up with fluid again, whatever. Tried bleeding it for probably, I don't know, 20 minutes. And still no fucking better. But the only thing is, now it's not noisy. Because it's always been, ever since that first pump played up, it's been really whiny. It would be quiet sometimes and then really noisy and it'd be shuddery and we could just never get it to come right. Didn't matter how much bleeding we did or flushing out or whatever, it just wouldn't shut up, you know, just, we couldn't work it out. So the only thing we can think of now is maybe the original pump took out the other steering rack. The steering rack took out the new pump. And now we put another rack in it. It's like, because we've changed the hoses, we've changed the rack, we've changed the fucking reservoir. You know, it can't be anything else. Like the steering column's fucking fine, it spins fucking free. You can spin the fucking steering wheel for days by itself. You know, like there's no other mechanical problems. It drives fine down the fucking road, like it's not as though there's something seized in the suspension or anything like that. It's all fine. Because it all turns free by itself, if you know what I mean. Like it's not as though there's a ball joint fucking locked up or anything stupid. It's just weird. It's like, fucking what can it be? Like, has it, you know, when we obviously original rack was shitting itself. Did it start taking the pump out? We put another rack in it. That pump went bad. So we put another pump in it, and that first pump was starting to take out the second rack. So the second rack took out the second pump. So now we put another rack in it. What do we do? Do we just put another fucking, just leave the car alone and put another pump in it? And then try it again? Like, it's fucking frustrating. It's like, what's wrong with the fucking thing? You know, I've replaced lines, placed pumps, placed fucking whatever, put, you know, probably fucking 10 litres of fluid through the fucking thing. Just mega frustrating. I feel like, is there some special fucking deal to fucking bleed it that we're missing? You know, we've even taken the relief valve off. We stripped the original pump. It looks perfect inside. It's a vein style pump, you know, where when it spins, it spreads the veins out like a, trying to think, it's like not a gear pump per se, like a, like an oil pump, like in a Chev or whatever, you know, like an old V8. It's not that kind of pump. It's a vein style pump. Yeah, I don't know, it's just weird. It's just like, we just fight and just nothing seems to bring it right. And it's like, we're just wondering if one thing is taking out the next, you know, driving it, trying to get it to come right, bleeding it, whatever, you know, over a couple of days, and then just, is each thing taking each thing out all the time, you know? But like, the car's probably worth $3,000 or $4,000, running and driving in good condition. But I don't want to spend $1,000 on a new pump and $1,000 on a new rack to put it in and try and solve the problem. I'll probably fucking, you know, we're probably close to $1,000 worth of parts on it now. Like, it's just fucking pain in the ass. I just want to be able to drive the thing round without fighting past steering. I don't know. Anybody else got any ideas?